Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So for today's class, I would like to read a verse from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is chapter 15, text number 46. The chapter is called Narada Muni's Instructions for the Civilized Human Beings. And this is a very beautiful verse and purport about Shishi Gauritai. Nochet pramattam asadindriya vajisuta nitotpatam vishayadasyushu nikshipanti te dasyava sahayasuta tamudde samsara kupa urumrityavaye kshipanti. Otherwise, if one does not take shelter of Achyuta and Baladev, then the senses acting as the horses and the intelligence acting as the driver, both being prone to material contamination, inattentively bring the body which acts as the chariot to the path of sense gratification. When one is thus attracted again by the rogues of Vishaya, eating, sleeping and mating, the horses and chariot driver are thrown into the blinding dark well of material existence, and one is again put into a dangerous and extremely fearful situation of repeated birth and death. So this verse sounds very serious. It explains how our mind and senses, being all the time attracted to material sense gratification, will pull us away from the right path of spiritual life. So purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Without the protection of Gaur Nitai, Krishna and Balaram, one cannot get out of the dark well of ignorance in material existence. This is indicated here by the word nochet, which means that one will always remain in the dark well of material existence. The living entity must get strength from Gaur Nitai or Krishna Balaram. Without the mercy of Nitai Gaur, there is no way to come out of this dark well of ignorance. As stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 1-2, Vanda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gaudadayo Pushpavanto Chitrasando Tamanodo. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Shri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gauda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. This material world is a dark well of ignorance. The fallen soul in this dark well must take shelter of the lotus feet of Gaur Nitai, for thus he can easily emerge from the material existence. Without their strength, simply attempting to get out of the clutches of matter by speculative knowledge will be insufficient. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Haya Andakara, Yahan Krishna Tahan Nahi, Mayara Adhikara. Krishna is compared to sunshine and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of the material energy will immediately vanish. So, under the sunlight of Guru's instruction, the darkness of ignorance can be dissipated. So Guru receives this lamp of knowledge in the Guru Parampara, ultimately from Krishna. So, and he can impart that mercy and that knowledge to the disciple, or one who takes shelter of Krishna, and give that mercy. So what is that mercy ultimately? Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Maharani Ki Jai. What is that mercy which a surrendered devotee receives? that mercy is the clear understanding that I'm not this body, that I'm an eternal spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. One realizes, if one is realized in that knowledge, that he is not a person of this material world, but that there is, there is ultimate reality in spiritual life, then that darkness, that ignorance is gone. When things are dark, we become a little fearful. It's natural when you don't see, when you don't understand, you get some anxiety. But as soon as that anxiety is gone, that the darkness is gone, and the light of Krishna is there, then you can get freed from the anxieties which are created in the darkness, which are created out of ignorance. So in all the Vedic scriptures, it is clearly mentioned that we are not this body. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Satya Kabunoi Shranabhanadi Shravanadi Chuddha Chitte Karaya Udoy. That the living entity is a Nitya Siddha, is always a perfected living entity, and it's Nitya, it's eternal. Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prema. And that Krishna Prema is always in the heart of all living entities. Therefore, there is always this natural attraction of a sane person to turn to God, to turn to higher powers. Yeah. In ignorance, people just may worship the sun or something else. But there is always this idea that there is some power beyond me. There is some power there. I remember when I was a small boy, I was always thinking, somebody's taking care of me. I always had this feeling in my heart that somebody's taking care of me. And sometimes I get this, suddenly I get a flash of knowledge. It's somewhere coming from. I was very inquisitive when I was a small boy, I remember. So, yes, it's true. Krishna is sitting in the heart of everyone. And since we are eternal souls, there's really no point of being fearful. We are fearful because we are in ignorance. But once we realize who we actually are, then that fear and the anxiety will just vanish, just like this. It will just go away. And this knowledge, which is like sun, clears the path for realizing love of God. This verse specifically says, Sadhya Kabu Noi. There is nothing which we have to add to our life to become a lover of Krishna. Nothing. We don't need anything. It's always there. It's just covered by ignorance of the real personality. And all we have to do is by the path of bhakti-yoga, we have to just clear that ignorance. So, Shravanadi Sutta-Chitte, just by hearing, by the process of hearing and chanting, which are two very important processes of practicing Bhakti Yoga, we can come to that higher level of understanding and taste the sweet nectar of Krishna consciousness. And what is that taste? What is the taste that we are actually hankering for? A few days ago, Satyananda Maharaj, he wrote a nice text in our disciple conference, and he raised this question: what is stopping us from fulfilling our resolutions? Very often we say, okay, we want to do this, I'm going to chant extra rounds, or I'm going to do this and that, but then after a few days we just give it up. We lose that inspiration. And he was raising this interesting question: what is actually stopping us? And is there anything we can do about it? And then he went on to explain that yes, he quoted Bhagavad Gita verse, Vishaya Vinivartante, that the living entity who has lower taste, he can only come to the higher taste by cultivating it. You can cultivate a higher taste for spiritual practice, and then you will have this rasa, you will taste the rasa. So then that satisfaction which you receive by simply serving Krishna, param drishtva nivartate, then that will not go away, because you will remember, okay, there is actually a higher taste and satisfaction which I can get. So this taste is actually one of the opulences of Krishna. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, Raso Vaisaha, I am that rasa. You want to have the taste of satisfaction and being, constantly pleased and happy. I am that. Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita, I'm the best of everything. We are all actually looking for Krishna. We are searching for Krishna. That is the missing link and the missing point in our lives. Unfortunately, in ignorance, we take shelter of other things, whatever things, sense gratification or drugs or intoxication. We take shelter of false shelters. And everybody somehow knows that these are false, but we still do it. This is the ignorance. This is exactly the ignorance which we are speaking about. So, that rasa, that taste, comes from the Son of Krishna, who dissipates the darkness. We know this when vegetables are growing. There's a need for sun for them to grow. So the growth and the color of fruits and vegetables, it all comes from the sun. But there's need for moon to give them taste and aroma. Therefore, if you go to the warmer countries and tropical countries, everything tastes so good, and it's not only looking good, but it also tastes so good because there's not so much clouds. These vegetables and fruits, they get also the moonshine. So, if you want to get really something nice, you need both. You need the sun and the moon. So, fortunately for us, in this age of Kali, the sun and moon have appeared as Gauranga and Nityananda. Gaura Chandra, the moon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Nityananda is the representation of Guru who dissipates the darkness. So, Gauranga is the moon, Nityananda is the sun. And both of them will dissipate the darkness of ignorance, and they give us the taste. Nityananda takes away all the darkness, and Gauranga gives us the taste of prema. He came to distribute the prema, to give the taste of bhakti to everyone. Krishna is Rasaraj, he is the king of all tastes, and he also enjoys to taste himself. We chant all the time, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram. Who is Ram? Ram is Krishna, who is the source of all happiness, and he is also the enjoyer of everything. He declares in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvam Papa, I am the source of everything, and everything belongs to me. And he also is the one who is the source of all happiness and the source of all tastes. He can give it, and he came to give it as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came to show to everyone. Chaitanya and Nityananda, they broke the storehouse of love and prema and distributed to everyone without discrimination. They didn't say, oh, you have to be from the Brahmin family or you have to be qualified. No. Because really, in order to receive the full mercy, you don't need any qualification. You just have to be a little humble. Just a little meekness is totally enough. And taking the humble position, you can receive it. In fact, those who are, those who have some things, it's more difficult for them. Queen Kunti prays to Krishna, Janmashvarya Sruta Sribi, Eda Mada Mada Puma, Naivar Hati Apidatum Vai, Tvam Akinchana Gochara. That my Lord, a person who, actually I have the exact translation here. It says that, dear Lord, you can be easily approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. Those who are on the path of material progress, trying to improve their learning, their beauty, their family situation, parentage, and their opulence. Those who are running after money, they cannot approach you. It becomes very difficult for them. But actually you are very easy to approach. For those who are akinchana gochara, by those who don't have anything else but you. If you don't surrender and you don't look for maintenance and protection of the material things of this world and the material personalities, but you really look shelter with Krishna and you surrender to Krishna, then it becomes very easy for you to become fully Krishna conscious, because Krishna, he actually likes to give us shelter. It is said that in the spiritual world, everything is available, but one thing is not available. Who knows what is that? What is not available in the spiritual world? What kind of pleasure cannot Krishna have in the spiritual world? There's ocean of love in the spiritual world. Yes?
Fighting with the demons.
Well, he created Vrindavan and then he took care of that also. That's correct.
Maybe Maya is not available.
Well, there is Yoga Maya available. Maha-Maya is just the shadow of Yoga Maya. It's available. What is...
Material pleasure.
Sorry?
Material pleasure.
Well, there is spiritual pleasure, you know, the source of the material pleasure, yes.
Maybe separation, the feeling of separation.
Well, there are also situations where Radha and Krishna can be separated, yes.
Somebody said envy?
You see, all qualities which we have in this material world is just a reflection of the pure qualities in the spiritual world. What is really not available in the spiritual world, you'd like to know?
Yes.
Tell.
Selfishness.
It's also a quality which can be used in Krishna's service by being selfish to please Krishna, for example. What is really not available in the spiritual world is the pleasure of serving, the pleasure of saving a conditioned soul. And that's why Krishna comes. That's one of the reasons he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to save the conditioned souls. Because I think all of you have this feeling. When you do something good for someone else, how good that feels. Isn't it? But it's temporary. That feeling goes away very quickly.
We have to work all the time.
What?
We have to work all the time. We have to work and have all the time.
Yeah. But whatever we do in this material world is temporary. Even we do something good to someone else, it is a very good feeling, but it goes away. But if you really save a conditioned soul and bring him to Krishna, that is a sweet taste. That is really so nice. That is so nice that Srila Prabhupada in his introduction to Bhagavad Gita, he writes that, well, I have written this Bhagavad Gita, you know, he wrote the whole Bhagavad Gita, and then somehow or other his wife gave it to some grocery shop and got some biscuits, and Prabhupada thought, oh God, this is really too much. So then he wrote it all over again, and then it got lost. Because it was just written, and he lost it somewhere on his traveling. And then he wrote it all over again when he came to the West. And then in his purport, he writes that if even one living entity can become Krishna conscious by reading this book, I feel that my mission is completed. You know, it's such a great pleasure to bring one living entity to Krishna. And this is such a great service. If any of us can do that, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, no servant, no one would be more dear to me than a person who describes this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to another person, to my devotees, for example. So, yeah, I would just like to humbly request all of you, if you have any way, any possibility to preach this Krishna consciousness to others, it is such a pleasing service to Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he himself, he says in in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yare deke tare kaha Krishna upadesh amara agyaya guru tam nama hedesh. That instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. Of course, meaning becoming a spiritual master means you lead the person, you help the person to become Krishna conscious. It can also be very simple. You can only, give some prasadam to someone, or give them a book, or bring them to a Sunday feast and speak to them about Krishna. And ultimately, we are all looking for Krishna. And if a person is sane, he will just say, okay, maybe I can try it. If you can engage anyone somehow or other to Krishna, then you are serving Srimati Radharani. This is what Srimati Radharani does. That's her service. She engages everyone in the service of Krishna. And in this material world, this is such a great pleasure to bring someone to Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Bharatbhumite aila manushya janma yara, janma sarkara karikara upakara. One who has taken birth as a human being should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all others. Yes, you can do some philanthropic work and help others, but the result would be temporary. But if you bring them to Krishna, that service, that work would be, eternal service. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Radha and Krishna combined. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared to taste that sweet taste of rasa, of a devotee practicing Krishna consciousness. He was an ideal, he was Bhakta Rupa, he was the form of a devotee. And Nityananda Prabhu, he was Bhakta Surupa, he's the person who reveals the Swarup, the real personality, and gives knowledge to the devotee. Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur pays his obeisances to Gaur Nitai. Ajanu lampita pujo kanakavadata sankirtanai kapitaro kamalaya jaksho Vishvambaro dvijavaro yugadharma palo vande jagat priyakaro karuna avataro. He pays his obeisances to the most merciful form of Krishna, Gaur Nitai. It's Dvijana, it's double avatar. Krishna comes as Nrsingadeva, as Ram and Krishna, but in this avatar he comes really as a double avatar, double packed mercy. And it's our chance to take this nectar of what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given in his teachings. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given many teachings. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will see how he was dealing with the devotees. Sometimes in very official ways, sometimes in a very funny ways. When he was a young boy, Nimai Pandit, he would go sometimes to the market, and he would go to Sridhar Pandit, who was known as Kolavecha Sridhar. Kolavecha means 3 barks. Kolavecha Sridhar, he had a small garden of banana trees, and he would take a whole banana tree and cut it and would sell the barks. He would make cups, and with the leaves he would make plates, and the bananas itself, or banana flowers, he would sell. But he was actually very poor. He was totally poor, but still whatever he would sell, from whatever he had income, he would give half of it for the worship of Mother Ganga, and the other half was really not much. And still, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come and jokingly harass him every day. He would come and say, I want this, and how much it would cost. And Sridhar would give him, the really good price. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, I will give you only half. So he would put the half of the money there, and he would take everything, and he would just go. And Sridhar would run after him, no, you have to give it back. But he was never getting angry. That's really interesting. He would never get angry. He would just go and pack Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he would just wrestle with him, and he wanted to take his things back, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would laugh and run away. So, but he was very dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because of one great quality he had. Who knows? What was the great quality of Kolavecha Sridhar? He would always chant very loudly, 24 hours a day. He had a small garden, and he would go in the middle of his garden and he would chant all night, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And all his neighbors were very angry about that. And they always thought that he's very hungry, he's so poor, and therefore he cannot sleep, and he's praying to God to get some food. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu loved him so much for his attraction to the holy name, for his repetition and his sincerity in chanting the holy names. And he once went to him and asked him, Sridhar, why are you so poor? What is the reason? You are worshipping the Lord of Goddess of Fortune. Everybody else in this Nadia in Navadvip is worshipping Kali, and they are also rich. But you are worshipping Krishna and you are so poor. And then he gave an answer, which was very interesting. Oh yeah, Sridhar answered. A bird who made its nest on the trees and wandered from place to place to find food was passing time of the day in the same way as a king in his palace who enjoyed the best objects of gratification. There was no difference of degree or amount of pleasure experienced by the two. Do you understand what he said? He said, if a bird eats something or a king eats something, the feeling of satisfaction is the same for both. If the bird is sleeping in a small nest in the tree, or a king sleeps in the best of bed settings, sleep is sleep, it doesn't matter, you know. So sense gratification, you may have a high standard or a very low standard, but ultimately it's the same thing. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to him, you want to know? What did he tell him?
Yes.
Externally, though you appear to be poor, you are actually the true rich man. I will shortly reveal to the entire foolish world that the devotee is qualified to possess the greatest wealth. Indeed, they are the owners of all things. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much appreciated the standard of Kolavecha Sridhar's knowledge about what is sense gratification, what is the value of sense gratification. Nothing. It's just we need some sense gratification for maintaining the body and soul together, and there is ultimately no difference how rich you are or how poor you are. You will get your share, you know, you will get your share to survive. There is no need to waste time on running after money and sense gratification. It's a mistake. It's a mistake, and it is so much more important to cultivate spiritual knowledge and this understanding that I'm not this body, and whatever happens to me is by the mercy of the Lord. It's my share. I have to take the happiness and distress. Everybody knows, even rich people suffer so much. Even very, very, very multimillionaire rich people, or famous people, they always suffer because everybody's looking at them. They're all the time, making photos of them, and whatever they do, it's immediately criticized in all media, and they suffer so much about this. They want to be famous, but then that's what it comes in the package. It's always there. And therefore, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked, what is actually the best quality of a devotee? And he said, asat sanga tyaga. A devotee, he avoids bad association. He always takes the good association, and he meant with that, sadhu sangha. He meant association of devotees. But in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this asat sangha is described and it's explained. Who knows what asat sangha means? Who can tell me what is asat sangha? Yes.
Asat, not having association with Sat. Also A ist negation, Sat heißt eternal und Sangha heißt Gemeinschaft.
Yeah, okay, yes. Asat sangha means, asat sangha or association with
Asat, with people who are not.
yeah, with non-devotees, so to say, people who are not devotees of Krishna. But this is a little more explained, it's more detailed. In Chaitanya Charitamrita is explained, asat has three meanings. One is the atheist, people who totally negate God and say, no, there's no God, So association of such atheistic people is not very much recommended for devotees. Of course, we preach to such people, but we don't like to take their association and accept their way of understanding. Another asat is the association of the opposite sex, attachment to opposite sex, and people who are so absorbed in sexuality. This is also an asat, an association which we don't want to be involved in. And the worst kind is what? What kind of association is the worst? Who knows?
Those who are intoxicated.
Well, that comes under these other things. Yes. Say it loud.
Mayavadi.
Yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu totally criticized association with Mayavadis. He warned us, one who associates with Mayavadis, his spiritual life is doomed, it's destroyed. Because Mayavadi's understanding is so much like Krishna conscious philosophy, and it's so mystical. If you hear or read it, you will think, wow, it's so deep, But it is so misleading, and ultimately, a Mayavadi is killing Krishna, wants to take Krishna's head and legs and arms and everything, because Mayavadis are convinced that Krishna is impersonal. And no matter, impersonal. Mayavadi means an impersonalist, a person who does not believe in the personality of Godhead. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much warns that. And also there is another personality, another form of asat sangha, and it's called Dharmadvaji. Dharmadvaji means a pretender, a person who comes towards Krishna consciousness, but he is not serious. He comes for other reasons. He comes because he's hungry and wants to eat here free. He comes here. But he really doesn't care about Krishna consciousness or Krishna. So this is also a satsanga, but it's not so dangerous. It's okay. We are generous to distribute prasadam, no question. But we don't think that this kind of association is very, very valuable for advancing in spiritual life. So I have to see how much time we have, because I have actually a lot of information and
10 Minuten noch.
10 Minuten noch. Okay, then I have to really shorten it. So by going to Guru or Krishna, we are actually approaching, by going to Guru or reading the knowledge of teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are actually approaching Guru Parampara and Krishna himself. Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he himself, he really only wrote the Shiksha Astakam prayers, which is the condensed knowledge which he has given. The Shiksha Astakam prayers are very deep. They are based on the understanding of Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana, the knowledge of how to approach Krishna, how to become connected to Krishna, how to perform devotional service, and ultimately how to attain love of God by the practice of Krishna consciousness. It's a complete knowledge in just 8 verses. If you read Bhagavad Gita, what is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? Who knows that? Krishna speaks 700 verses. What is the conclusion?
Give up our will, surrender unto me.
Yes, surrender unto me. That's 1866. This is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. But the conclusion of Shiksha Astakam, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, goes way beyond that. It goes way beyond even Krishna Prema. It goes to the very high levels of Krishna Prema. Sneha, Mana. There are very high levels and descriptions of intimate and very, very deep love of Krishna. So these 8 verses, it's actually very much advised that we all memorize them, that we all read it every day, we chant it every day. Especially it's recommended to, before chanting the holy names, that we chant these verses, because they glorify also chanting. You will get so much more knowledge how valuable the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha-Mantra is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorifies the chanting of the holy names in Shiksha Astakam prayers. Chetudarpana Marjanam, he says, it cleanses the heart, it cleanses the mirror of the heart and takes away that darkness where we cannot see who is our true self. When you look at a very dirty mirror, you don't see properly, but if you clean the mirror, then you see yourself. So similarly, a person who is very thoroughly cleanses his heart and his mind can realize who he actually is, who is, what is his position in relationship to Krishna. So in this age of Kali, the chanting of the holy name is the Yuga Dharma and is the easiest way to approach Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorifies the chanting of the holy name. And it also helps us how we could be able to chant all the time. Chanting is not something we do just a little bit. In all Vaishnava Shastras, it's all the time recommended. You should chant all the time. You can chant in your mind. You can even, chant so much that even in your sleep, your mind chants for you. We know that. If you do something all day, in the night you will dream. I remember when I was distributing books. When I would go to sleep, in the night, I would all the time distribute books in my dreams all the time. I would always, repeat my mantra, hello, here. I would always do that. It was a total good meditation. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, and also Rupa Goswami, Tannama Rupa Charitati Sukirtanano, this is one of the verses of Upadeshamrita. He says, one should really focus his mind and his life for being able to chant 24 hours a day. But how can we do that? How can we do 24 hours a day chanting? Who knows the answer? To be humble. Almost.
Mercy. Mercy.
The answer is the 3rd verse of Shiksha Astakam. Kirtanya Sada Hari means always chanting. Sada, all the time chanting. For that, you have to be more humble than a straw in the street. You should be more tolerant than a tree. And be ready to offer all respects to the worst people. And never, so to say, expect to be respected. Wow, if we can make these 4 things. And positively chant. The good thing is it goes hand by hand in hand. In the beginning we chant not in a very pure way. We chant Nama Parat, we chant inattentively, and we do so many things during the chanting. That's not very good. But it's still better than not chanting. Yeah. But then later we start chanting Namabhas, which is the shadow of chanting. And already in that if you chant Shraddha Namabhas by having some faith in the chanting of the holy name, then already from that point onwards, Haridas Thakur says, the person who even chants Namabhas, he's already liberated because he's on the right path. And then later on, we can come up to the high platform of chanting purely, which reveals Krishna. Which slowly you will get, revelations of who you are actually and who is actually Krishna. Yeah, I have 1.5 pages more to go, but I have to, I think, stop here. But I'm happy to answer any questions. We have like a few minutes. Yes.
I have 2 questions. First question, you said that we should help people. It's most brilliant what we can do to help people to come to Krishna. Yeah, but how can we do it when we are conditioned souls? Not so easy.
Yeah, the question is, how can we help others when we ourselves are conditioned souls?
And the second question is...
Let's answer the first question. So tomorrow there's Harinam is planned. You can take part in Harinam and already go out and preach and chant. That's how many of us joined Krishna-consciousness movement just by seeing a Harinam party. Satyananda Maharaj saw a Harinam party. He saw Tamal Krishna Goswami chanting in Hamburg, and he became so attracted to him. And Gadadhar became attracted chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, and me and Gopinath were sitting to 2 people in Heidelberg in Bismarckplatz. And it was so many things going on, and Gadadhar was looking at, who are these two guys, We were sitting there. Of course, Gopinath was a very good singer, so I was just playing cartels, but he looked at us and he became interested, and he came tomorrow again, and he saw we were standing there, 3 of us, 3 of us. We were just 2-3 people in a very loud place, and he saw us, and then one day he just came with us to the temple and became a devotee and did wonderful service and went many years on the streets singing and attracting people to Krishna. So this is one way. Of course, we can also distribute books, which is also very powerful. It's called the Brihat Mirdanga, the big Mirdanga. Yeah, there are many ways you can distribute prasadam and attract people to Krishna consciousness. Maybe in this lifetime they do not become realized devotees, but their spiritual life has started. Srila Prabhupada said, if you give them if they even take the book in their hand and give it back, already their spiritual life has started. They have touched Krishna in the form of Bhagavatam. So these are very important services. You can really save many conditioned souls by just simple activities. What did Srila Prabhupada do? He just went to the park and started singing, and he attracted so many people. Of course, he was also very empowered, but we can also become empowered. Like, I'm a total fool, but I was empowered to give this class. So, your turn.
Yeah, and you said that the most important process in our spiritual life is chanting holy name of the Lord. And but most important, engage our mind in this process, yeah, because when our mind is somewhere else and difficult to chant, and maybe you can share your experience how you try to engage your mind in the process of chanting of holy name.
Yes, if you want to chant more attentively, which is what we should do to become pure in our chanting, you have to be determined and be steady. Do it every day. In the beginning, maybe without taste, but ultimately Krishna is very merciful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful. They will help us. But you can only do this if you're in the association of devotees on the long run. If you're alone somewhere and you don't go to the devotees and you avoid devotees or even offend devotees, then it becomes very difficult to get the taste. But technically you have to clear, if you want to really chant nicely, you have to be in a pure place, clean room, put a picture of Krishna or make a small altar and try to concentrate, or go in the association of devotees who are chanting. And these are external conditions which helps. When we associate with devotees, there is an external thing. We come all together. I become so happy to see Sadashiva just because he's there. My heart opens. This is the external thing. But then internally, you have to work on yourself. Because what we are doing is not something material. The knowledge we receive is not just some material knowledge. We go to school, the teacher gives us some knowledge, and after we graduate, auf nimmer Wiedersehen. You don't go to the teacher anymore. That's it. That was it. Bye-bye. But in the spiritual life, you go to a teacher. This is Chakudana Diloye Janme Janme Prabhu say. It's life after life. It never ends. And no matter how much you try to serve Guru, you will never reach the point where you say, okay, he gave me this knowledge, I repaid him, finish. You will never come to that point. Of course, you should never give up trying, but this knowledge is so valuable because the Guru saves you from the worst. We were reading the verse was that this material world is like a dark well. We were in the dark well, or we still are in the dark well, and we should be so thankful to Gurudev who saved us, to Srila Prabhupada who gave us this transcendental knowledge and opened the path for our becoming liberated and receiving Krishna Prem. So I hope I answered your question. Because it's Janme Janme Prabhu say, it's life after life. There is no end to this. You started at one point and you will just go all the way to complete it, hopefully in this lifetime. Haribo.
Haribo.
Yes.
You say that Krishna Prema is in the heart of every living being, and it just has to purify it, and then it's there. But on the other hand, you also hear that we have to receive Krishna Prema from those who have it. How this?
I tell you one thing. It's a really fine thing to understand these two things. There is one, the seed of bhakti, which has to be given by Guru, and there is the dormant Krishna Prem. This dormant Krishna Prem will not come out by nothing. It has to be Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaya Uday. There has to be this constant hearing and chanting and practicing Krishna consciousness. Then this covered love will be shown. But the seed of bhakti is something to be attained, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you have to attain bhakti. I don't remember now the verse, but there's a verse where Krishna says, Mat bhaktim lavate param, this is it, You have to get the seed from Guru. 22nd chapter of Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is describing this, that the Guru gives the seed and the disciple has to water the seed by the process of chanting and hearing, and he has to take out the weeds, which is compared to the offenses. So the bhakti lata, the creeper of bhakti, has to grow by the process of chanting and hearing, and then at one point it will come to the point of getting the flowers and the fruits, which is the prema, and will take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. But that you have to receive. Nobody has bhakti. You get bhakti in the association of devotees. Bhakti is born in the association of devotees. But prem is available in the form of covered love in the heart of all living entities. Do you believe me?
I believe you, but I think maybe I have to think about it today.
Yes, okay. Think about it if you have anything. Maybe if you found something better, you can let me know. This is what I learned. Yes.
Can you say a little more about this? There are so many people who speak about Krishna, like for example Sadhguru, I mean, they are not. What is Mayavadi? They are not necessarily believe that God is impersonal, but they accept. They speak about Ram and Krishna. So the question is, they are bona fide. If I speak about Krishna, who is envious and egoistic and so, or not pure and don't follow Guru, is it still? Can I do something wrong?
It's a good question you're asking. His question is, there are some Mayavadis who are very famous and they are doing actually some good work, like Sadhguru, or there is this very famous... Yeah, there are others who are famous and they do also so many philanthropic
They
works.
speak also about Krishna.
Yeah, and they also speak about Krishna. Is this good that I listen to them? So my answer is, if you have studied all Prabhupada books at least twice, then you can go and listen to them. Because a poor man, or actually no, other way around. Prabhupada said, an intelligent man will find gold in trash. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, a lotus comes out of mud. You know? But if you are weak, then you should not listen to them, because they will definitely mislead you. Because Krishna is present in his holy name when it comes from a pure source. But Krishna is never available in the altar of a Mayavadi. Therefore, it is advised that devotees who go to visit a Mayavadi, they should not pay obeisances in front of deity of Krishna in the house of a Mayavadi. Because of you, Krishna is forced to come and stay in that place. Because Krishna will never want to be in a place where somebody wants to kill him. Krishna is not manifested in the wards of a Mayavadi. Therefore, Prabhupada said, before me, so many people came to the West and they preached and they also printed Bhagavad Gitas, but why there was no devotees? Because Krishna was not present in those Bhagavad Gitas. Krishna was not present in those names. Krishna is only there where his devotees are. Look all around and you will never find a picture of Krishna who is alone. He's always with a devotee or an animal or something. Because Krishna is always with his devotees. So, you like to listen to these people for learning something, try to get some nectar, but don't get misled, because they are Mayavadis. They will ultimately, they don't believe in Krishna.
What is the difference between a pure devotee and a person who also speaks about Krishna, but he has a wrong understanding of it? I mean, what is the meaning of
Krishna is not present.
What is the meaning of I speak about Krishna. Krishna killed the demon. Krishna came as Ram. But why is this?
Because the conclusion is wrong. His conclusions are wrong. His conclusion is that Krishna is not a person. That the body of Krishna is temporary.
If he speaks about Ram did this and Ram did that and Ram did this.
Look, what is the difference between a street sweeper and a high court judge? If a high court judge tells you, I will send you to jail for 2 years, that's it. And if the street sweeper tells you, I will send you to jail for 2 years, you will just laugh at him and cry at the other one, because the other one is empowered to tell you, I will put you in jail and you will go to jail. But the street sweeper, when he tells you, I will send you to jail, you will just say, good luck with that. Because there is no power there.
He's empowered, the pure devotee is empowered by Krishna, like Prabhupada was empowered by Krishna. But
Very
the
good.
other one is self-made. He poses as a guru, but...
Yes, because he's not really
he
worshipping
speaks
Krishna.
things, he speaks some not clear everything.
It's always mystical, that's the point. Whenever you see something very mystical, be a little alarmed.
I want to say, once in India, I asked one person, he read books from the Vivekanandas and asked me, what's the difference between this and books in Prabhupada? He said, Prabhupada always comes to the point and put the finger and say like this, while the other one is speaking like about the duality.
one more thing. I'm sorry that I'm taking your time a little more, but I think this is important. Prabhupada gave the example of the book Shah Jahan. There was a book written. Shah Jahan was the king who built Taj Mahal for his wife, Mumtaz Mahal. And one person wrote a book. And in this book, he explained how Aurangzeb, the son of Shah Jahan, killed his 3 brothers or 4 brothers and put his father in Taj Mahal and locked the door. He put his father in the jail. And the whole book was about Aurangzeb, about the atrocities of Aurangzeb and how cruel king he was and all that. And somebody asked, this whole book is about Aurangzeb, why is it called Shah Jahan? And then Prabhupada told him, well, the real hero in this book is the father who first of all built this, magnificent building, but also he had to suffer. He lost all his children. He lost his beautiful wife whom he was so much in love with and for whom he made this great mansion and mausoleum. And he had to go through all this. And although the whole book is describing Aurangzeb, the main point of this book is how great was Shah Jahan. So only the author of the book, he knows who is more important, what is most important in this book. So similarly, only a devotee knows what is the real message of Bhagavad Gita. Only a devotee can understand and point out what is here to be taken care of. Surrendering to Krishna, loving Krishna, serving Krishna, and not all these other mystical things. Because all those things can only lead to the right conclusion of surrendering to Krishna. But if you get lost in all those mysterious explanations, then you don't really understand. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was debating with very great learned scholars, Prakashananda Saraswati, whoever, even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and they all surrendered to him. And their knowledge was, take the Vedic words and make it mystical. Give them a deeper meaning. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, no, you have to take the direct meaning. And even the direct meaning is very deep. But take the direct meaning, don't take the so-called mystical meaning. We can speak a little later if you like, because now the class. Can I take one more question? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribol.
My question is that if a person who offends other Kirtanyas and Vaishnavas, but as you said that if he still touches the book, so he gets a chance to step into spiritual life. And there are other people, those who are just, they are also involved in Lord Krishna's bhakti. And when they die, they are just waiting to lay down on the deathbed. And they just think about Lord Krishna. So is there any difference? Do they have to come on earth again? Does that soul has to come on earth again? Like there are 2 different people. So even if they have touched the book, just like as you said, so their spiritual life starts. So they have to come again to the earth or not?
I mean, we have to come back and take birth as long as we are not fully self-realized and we are not established in our service to Krishna. Does this answer your question? Look, I start my spiritual life from one point and I move on in this life, next life. Hopefully in one life I will come to the completion. And then, I mean, it is mentioned that the last birth would be, you take birth in a place where Chaitanya is performing, Lord Krishna is performing his pastimes in the material world, and you get trained by devotees how to really serve Krishna. So, unless you don't come to that point, you have to take repeated birth and death.
So we have to come again to the earth.
Yeah, if you don't complete your task, you have to come back. Maybe not even in Earth, maybe some other planet, I don't know. Nobody knows.
I have one last question. The life of Lord Ramchandra, it depicts the art of living, whereas the life of Krishna, it it makes us learn art of dying. So is there any person, the one who has attained both the things and he has achieved all the principles?
I don't know why you say the Lord Krishna is perfection is how to die?
The art of dying, like, yeah.
Dying? Why? Krishna is dancer. He likes to play and dance. He loves joy and that's his life.
It's like somewhere I have read that Lord Ramchandra, his life was very much based on principles.
Yes, he was Dharma Varman. He was teaching Dharma to everyone, and he had very high ethical way of life. Yes, and that was his mission. And Lord Krishna's teaching was how to get liberated from this whole material world. You know, there is only one person who can give liberation. Mukunda, right? Shiva is not Mukunda, Brahma is not Mukunda, nobody can give you liberation. Only Mukunda can give you liberation, only Krishna. Mukunda is another name for Krishna. The only Lord, the only God who can give liberation is Krishna. No other demigod or powerful personality can give you liberation from repeated birth and death. So, yeah, Krishna comes with that mission to show how you can be liberated from repeated birth and death. It may take a few lifetimes, but if you follow the path, you will come to the conclusion. And Prabhupada said, why wait? You know, who knows what happens in next life? Maybe we come in the next lifetime to a place and there are some devotees and somebody doesn't let you in and then you get angry and then you go away. Who knows? It happened. It happened to the brother of Shyamnam. He came to the devotees and they said, no, you cannot come in. And he had to go and he became so angry. And it took him many years to come back, you know. But it happens. You know, you take birth somewhere, you even come to the association of devotees, but somehow or other you don't continue. So now you got this chance in this lifetime, take good advantage of it. And Prabhupada said, I give you full guarantee. If you follow the 4 regulative principles, eat only prasadam, and chant 16 rounds every day, and come to the association of devotees, you can go back to God in one lifetime.
But at the same time, you have to perform materialistic duties.
Well, you have to adopt the life of a devotee. Also, we as devotees, I work all the time, but I try to somehow or other have so much Krishna consciousness in my life and come in this wonderful association, and as much as I can, take advantage. We never know, but we trust. We have faith that if I do this, Prabhupada said, if I do that, I can go back to God in this lifetime. So I'm trying my best. Just like Prabhupada never knew how long he would live, so therefore he made this teaching of Lord Chaitanya. He never knew if he can complete Chaitanya Charitamrita. He didn't know if he can complete Srimad Bhagavatam, and he couldn't even. But he wrote the most important thing. He was not so sure, but he was confident that Krishna will always protect me and he is my only maintainer. And he always felt the presence of his guru, who gave him the order to go in the West and preach. And he said, okay. He had heart attack, he had hard times, you know, but he had faith. So if we have some faith and we follow this process and we go to the association of devotees, then we can be sure that we can make it. So, Hare Krishna, thank you very, very much. Srila Prabhupada.